Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with Ryan Skinner from Passport Game Studios.
Hello.
Which is North American distributor for French publisher Funforge.
That's right.
Which is releasing Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time.
That is also right.
By Brett Gilbert and Matthew Dunstan.
What am I even doing here?
Yes. What are you doing here?
It's like you know everything already.
Showing us this cooperative game here.
Yep.
Professor Evil, naturally presented by this small pawn.
Yep.
We don't want a true representation of his evil self.
There is actually now that we're beyond the prototype stage that you saw before, there is an actual little visage of...
he looks so small and unassuming.
He is a little small and unassuming, but he's no less dastardly or evil.
Okay.
So, yeah, where should I begin?
Well, I know he has stolen a number of artifacts.
He has, yeah. So the idea here is he travels through time and he steals famous historical artifacts. We have in the Citadel, in my little random setup here, we have the Crown Jewel, we have Excalibur, and we have Da Vinci's Notebook. And hopefully the audience can see a few more that I laid out on the side, just as some examples.
We can.
So perfect. We've got the Hope Diamond and the Ark of the Covenant and the Crystal Skull, not to be too on the nose with some other things, but
yes.
Anyway, there you go. So a whole bunch of different crazy things from history, both past and future, that he steals and hides in his Citadel.
Okay.
It's a cooperative game where all the players then work together. They build a team of up to 4. It's a 2 to 4 player game. You pick up to 4 of the 5 characters to infiltrate the Citadel and try to, I don't want to use the word steal because they're already stolen, but recollect the stolen artifacts.
Return them to their proper
That's right. That's exactly right. And return them back to where they belong before the professor can lock them away forever.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's very, very interesting. This is, like I said, it's fully cooperative. Everyone has a unique character with some special abilities, which can be enabled. So we can show those off a little bit.
Right.
Everyone also has a deck of their own unique cards that give that character a little bit of flavor and some extra abilities and things they can do on their turn. But effectively, on your turn, you have 4 actions that you can spend, aside from playing some cards and other extras. You can move through a room or move into the Citadel if you're outside. Everyone starts outside, and you have to infiltrate by sneaking through the gallery window, or the library window, or the ballroom window. So you come in through one of these little entrance points, and then you can spend movement to get through the Citadel, or unlock doors, or disable traps and flip switches. Traps are important because you have to have traps turned off to be able to get to the treasures. And finally, you can also, of course, collect the treasures, and that's +1 for your team.
Okay.
The trick is, you cannot collect a treasure unless all of the traps that are indicated on the treasure's icon, or treasure's token, have been deactivated. Okay. So, for example, if we wanted to steal the Crown Jewel back, we have to have...
The buzzsaw.
The buzzsaw is all turned off, so we got to find all 3 of them. The number 3's on there just for reference there, so you find them, and they're all off already. Those are also randomized during setup. You get 6 on and 6 off in random rooms.
Right.
Then we have to have all the cameras turned off. We find them.
One more.
We've got 1 on, and we got 1 off there. And then we have the sonar, which is currently over here in the greenhouse, which is turned on. So we would have to go deactivate the sonar, deactivate this camera, and get into that room and spend an action to collect that, and that's +1 of 4. If we get to 4 before the professor steals 4 and locks away 4, then that is how the team wins the game.
Okay. So we've got us wandering through the rooms, taking certain number of actions per turn. We've got special abilities.
Yep.
Have our deck of cards. After each person moves, or after we all move? I forget.
After each player takes a turn, then the professor also does some shenanigans.
That's right.
He's a little crazy and a little frenetic. So we roll 3 dice.
Okay.
A dice that represents a little bit of time, a dice that represents his movement, and a dice that kind of helps modify his movement.
Okay.
So the black die represents time that is spent. Each treasure, you'll notice, has a big value on it, and that represents how much time we have before the professor's going to lock that treasure away. So the lower the number, the quicker it's going to be gone, and we have to really work to get that one. So the lowers are tougher. You can kind of scale the difficulty of the game by only playing with the lower or higher valued treasures, so that's an option. But what will happen here is with the black die, you'll either roll 1 clock or you'll roll 2 clocks. And if you roll 1, you move this black pawn 1 space around the clock in the middle of the board. Okay. If at any point the black pawn meets up with one of the tokens that corresponds to the 3 treasures on the board, that is when the professor has locked it away and it's immediately replaced with a new one, which would be completely randomized and not face up like they're shown here. So you don't get to pick, but yeah. So that's how this little track works, and that's how the black die works.
Location deck to tell you where it's going to go.
That's exactly right. You deal a random location, and that goes into that room, and you got to go chase it down.
All right.
The 2 white dice we have represent how the professor moves generally, and a color die that represents one of the 3 colors used in the game, either red, blue, or green. In this example, this is saying the professor is going to move twice, the double arrows there. He's going to move twice, and he's going to use green doors to do it. The professor always starts the game in his laboratory, because of course crazy professors of course belong in a laboratory. And in each room there are 3 colored doors, the red, green, and blue, and so we find the green door that corresponds to him, and we are missing a door token somewhere. Oh, there it is, it's stuck away. All right, so he would move through there, which is totally fine. He can move through locked doors without a problem. Then we would find another green door, and he'd move through there and into this room. And so that would be how he'd move. Now, as he moves to the Citadel, if he ever moves into a room where there is a deactivated trap, if he moves into here, he's now going to activate that trap, which is going to potentially hinder our ability to collect treasures. If he moves through a doorway that is open, he will also lock the door behind him, because he's a little paranoid that someone might be, I don't know, sneaking in and stealing his stuff.
That's right.
Right.
He's on to this.
Yeah, he's a little onto you.
Okay.
If he ever, speaking of, finds one of the players in a room, he is kind enough to not, call the police or do anything like a normal, sane person would do. Instead, he just shoos you out the door and lets you sneak back in through the window on your next turn.
Okay.
But it does mess up potentially your strategy and your movement and so forth. I haven't played games though where getting yourself kicked out so you can come in at another point has been very helpful. So yeah. So that's kind of how this works. There's a couple other things that this die can do. Occasionally you'll roll a time value on the white die, and instead of moving the professor, you're actually going to move one of the corresponding treasure tokens counterclockwise towards the professor's pawn. So in this case, we would move the green treasure 5 minutes backwards, meaning that he's getting closer to locking that one away. So that's bad for you. And then the professor can also move through secret passages directly to certain treasure rooms. So this would be directly to the green treasure, which is the Excalibur in the room right next to him. But it could be all the way across the Citadel if you want it. He moves in there, and when he moves in there, he locks all the doors in the room, and of course again activates, whoops, there goes one of my pawns, activates the trap that's in that room as well. So that happens every turn, and then goes on to the next player.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and continue until again he collects 4, locks them away, or
That's
you
right.
liberate.
Yep.
4.
Yeah, the whole game we've found here at the show. This is our first time showing it off, and we've been teaching it the last couple days with teaching time and playing an entire game. The game is running under 45 minutes pretty consistently. Okay. So it's a pretty quick game, really fun, really beautiful components. There's a neat strategy. One of my favorite things compared to some other co-ops I've played is that when you have a lot of variable roles, in some games it's felt like some of them are really integral to the winning strategy, and if you don't have that role, then you're just handicapping yourself or what have you. This has not felt like that's the case, so you really can choose the characters you like best or the abilities you like best and still stand a chance, which is pretty cool. So yeah. Okay. Releasing at Gen Con, releasing the same week at retail, so that Friday the 18th or 19th of Gen Con, whatever it is.
That's right.
Mid-August
2017.
Yeah, mid-August 2017. There you go, and it'll be a $40 MSRP.
All right. So, thank you, Ryan.
You're very
for the
welcome.
overview. Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time. Thank you.